that I missed? Saw like a little steak show up in the corner of your little icon.
Is there?
Maybe so. Hang on.
No, not you, MJP.
Oh, what?
Oh,
A steak? Oh, that's meatwad.
Oh yeah.
well, you got
But
an
it was
asshole.
literally it's a piece of steak.
Wad.
Yeah, you can put an
It's like
icon
a
next to it.
T-bone.
You can put an
It's a
icon next to it, and I picked a T-bone for meatwad.
That's amazing.
but put an icon next to what? That's what I don't understand.
You can upload sounds for the soundboard. So I have a sound clip that I just have sitting around of meatwad saying, "Yeah, it's an yeah, it has space."
Oh, but I haven't been
Grab it.
hearing it. Why not?
You can't hear
Is
anyone's
your
sounds?
volume up on the soundboard? Right click the open soundboard down at the bottom.
Are you talking to me? My soundboard?
Yeah, yeah. We're down at the bottom. It should say open soundboard with the 4 icons. It's got like a music note. Triple
On
clap.
what platform?
PC.
Oh, okay. Because I'm just running around on my phone, like getting beverages and things.
Oh, you're on your phone. Yeah, you can't open the soundboard from your phone. Sorry.
I have seen it pop up. Wait,
I don't
'cause
know
I'm
how
on
you
here
do it.
now.
I thought you couldn't.
It's in settings, and then you go to voice and video.
Well, you got an asshole.
I do love the little steak that appears, though. That is an excellent choice.
Okay, can I tell you something really funny?
Of course.
So I popped onto my computer, was able to find the thing in the soundboard and play it, but I don't have the speakers on because that's not what I'm using right now, and I don't want feedback. And so I didn't get to hear Meatwad. But did it play?
It did.
Yay! Okay.
I heard it.
Oh man. And hosted by Meatwad today, we have, and I don't know if you guys are familiar, but it's the Sons of Trier.
The Sons of Trier, those guys are hacks. They're straight up grifters.
They're the worst.
They owe me $39.95 plus shipping.
Best I can do is
I
free
thought
99.
I thought they were like vile tricksters.
Also true. But that is not that we generally consider that a compliment.
Wait, I heard that they were base gods. Base
No,
gods.
definitely false.
Is it just me? Just me? Only one? Only me? Okay.
Question mark? More accurate.
Horrors beyond human comprehension.
Exactly. Today, in no particular order, we have Juniper Nest.
Hey! Greetings and salutations.
The illustrious, the Michael Jordan Peterson, who's really the
me
Michael Jordan of Petersons.
Yeah, well, or also the Jordan Peterson of Michael Jordan's.
One of those two things is much worse to be than the other.
I'm definitely a lot more mediocre than Michael Jordan, so.
The truest of horrors.
Yo, what's going on?
Oh, you know, it's another beautiful day, and myself, self-hating capitalist, back for another round.
Hell yeah.
Everybody kick the capitalists. Ah!
It's terrible. It's terrible. We have no direction and no leader today. We sent Dan away to the gulag. It was his turn.
He must do his hard time in the rock breaking factory.
Yeah, listen.
With his chisel, like Bugs Bunny, and his little hammer.
Listen, we
his
can't
little
be sending
shackle with
people
the
to
weight on it.
if we're not willing to go ourselves, right?
Right. Well,
I'm having the hardest time. I'm trying to pull up the Sons of Trier live stream on Twitch, and it's like not working.
Fascinating.
We're gonna keep fucking around until we get all this shit popping the way that young hip people have their shit popping. We're gonna keep fucking around.
Did they catch us?
No, dude, it says live,
Oh, it's live.
and I click on it, and it says live now.
If
Oh,
he
oh no, wait, I
not
fucked
sees-
up. Hold on.
Oh shit.
Hold on. I think
Yeah.
watch
Listen,
now.
the Juniper and I were discussing about how we feel old earlier in the pre-show for those lucky members who are non-existent and get to see the pre-show. And we determined that it's actually just all bullshit. Kids, you should definitely stay young.
Well, it doesn't matter. Like, we're gonna go to our graves cloaked in our, within our own generation, we're gonna sustain this fake thing of like all the stuff that from our younger days is like still relevant somehow. Like, we're gonna sustain that for each other.
Right,
Like,
right,
you can
right.
see the boomers doing it.
Right. Well, it's tough whenever the boomers are sustaining their thing, but their thing just
Yeah.
happens to be destroying everything.
The boomers wouldn't know sustainability if they walked up in the dick and punched them.
But that's the one thing that they can sustain is insustainability. That's the paradox of boomers.
Not even. They even fail at that sometimes. They're like, everything's gonna go to shit, and then nothing happens, and they're like,
Yeah.
well, it still might.
Oh
Do you
my
think
God.
do you think as we've grown
I know
to,
you
I guess,
remember
be
why.
in charge, do you think like as we were coming up and watching them go through all their shit, did you notice like, okay, came from an incredibly productive time, right? Had a chance to make some money, had a chance to get their shit together, right? The post World War II really era, that's them. And do you notice that they had this thing they would do where they would think that the world was going to end about every 5 or 10 years? And then do you think maybe the relief of it just not is maybe part of their whole like milieu as boomers? Because it really seems like that they, the day after,
It's the cult thing. They just reschedule it for next Tuesday.
yeah, like the day after, the day
I
after
mean,
2012 doesn't happen or whatever.
you
They're
would think
really nice.
after their fucking 1200th time that they're wrong, they would move on, but they don't.
They just don't. It's like every single person trapped in.
And
mental
now they even
anguish.
wrote kids into it to be their leaders.
True.
The
They
day
got
after life.
they got kids running them.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Gen Z for Biden. Yeah. God.
Oh, it's so gross.
Ugh.
Like
Oh,
this is like
oh,
I think I just
this
got
is like
sick
child.
hearing those sentences.
I've seen Pete Buttigieg before, but this is a level beyond him.
This is like child soldiers. Like to what extent are child soldiers supposed to be harder to kill because they're children? Right? Like
Oh God.
this is like child soldiers. Like,
Oh,
now we're
God.
gonna like this is an innocent teenager saying to vote for Biden. You're not gonna tell him to suck all the dicks, are you? You're not gonna.
Well, you know,
Is this why Dan keeps us all
those
on a tight
teenagers can get
script?
pretty.
This is what happens whenever we go off script. We start talking about child soldiers.
Yeah, you're not gonna tell this innocent
Well,
teenage American ruddy
he
cheeked
just had his
boy.
Ukraine days. He just had his Ukraine days in his mind. Right back when we
God.
sent them over to Donbass.
No, this innocent boy, this smiling cherubic angel, this little American boy, you're not gonna tell him to ram a bucket of dicks up his ass when he asks you to vote for Biden, are you? No, come
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
It's like they're
I
using
would.
child soldiers on us.
I would.
There was that OK Boomer thing in the last election. Bernie's OK Boomer girl. Is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
This has all been a ploy by the fucking
I think it's
powers that
actually
be.
OK Boomer.
OK
Oh
Boomer.
God, that's so much worse.
I wouldn't send the
somehow
kids
worse.
to the gulags. I wouldn't send the kids to the gulag, but I would drop kick them. So they know that it's real. Just so they know that you can't
Just
be
so
drop
they
kicked.
know what they did.
Hey.
Sir,
They know what they did.
You could fuck up so bad that someone comes and does a Bruce Lee drop kick on your head.
This innocent child that is wearing a little blue like French Fauntleroy suit with like little white stockings, and like he has like a big lollipop.
As
and he has
an aside, isn't it funny how they dress better than the adults do?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, they do.
They've got more
this
competence
innocent
in dressing alone.
This innocent little Gen Alpha boy who looks like the Campbell Soup kid. You wouldn't take a running jump and then drop kick him directly in the
Oh
skull with
yeah,
both
would.
feet
Bruce Leroy
because he
style.
told you to vote for Kamala
Look,
Harris. You wouldn't do that to him, would you?
look, bro.
He wants you to vote for Kamala.
Look, bro. If a Campbell Soup kid came coming to me talking about some you ain't black.
Mister, I
Shit,
sure
shit.
do wish.
I
Mister, I
definitely
sure do wish you would vote
I
for Joe
definitely would
Biden.
drop a bow.
Campbell
I de-
kid best not step to MJP. I
Yeah.
think is the message we're
Gonna
supposed to get.
open up a
if
whole
they come
can of
if they
Bruce
come walking
Leroy
up to
on
me
his
yelling the
ass.
N word, they might get hurt.
Oh, Mister, please
And-
vote for
and
Joe
they
Biden.
should.
I'm just a little baby. I'm just a little baby,
Just
Mister.
a
Please
little
vote for Joe
baby.
Biden.
It don't
You
even
wouldn't
take much.
slap me in the
Little
face.
tiger uppercut, little rah, rah.
You wouldn't say you're going to look up my address on Google Earth and swat my house. You wouldn't do that to me. You would swat a baby. That's what it is. Is that
They
they're
don't
using
remember
child
happy slapping. They don't remember
they're
happy
using
slapping. We used to get
they're
knocked
using
out.
child soldiers. They're using child soldiers because they think that the Bernie Bros won't cyberbully children.
Well,
Well,
they're going through all the
guess
vulnerable
what?
groups. They got to use
Oh
they
yeah.
got to use each and every one
Oh,
systematically, one by
absolutely,
one. So they was
absolutely.
like, let's get the Chinese on our side. Let's trot out a black lady. Let's have her be a vice president. Let's get the Gen Z kids to show for us on the vote.
You know,
You know what I
honestly,
mean?
minors
It's
is as
a whole
hard as they've
workshop.
ever gone. Like minors is as hard as they've ever gone. Minors is the final frontier because if a national political party like the Democrats or the Republicans, if they're using minors to like shill for the candidates and like make election content now, then they can't fuck any of those kids right then while those kids are doing that. Like
I don't know
that's
the
really
LG.
hard on them.
I don't know the LGBT drone operators got me pretty fucked me up.
Yeah,
That
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 was
one
I mean like
that one fucked me up real hard.
I am kind of just joking about the kids being the final frontier because the kids is the thing they've always done. They've always wanted the spokesperson to be
Oh
as
yeah,
innocent,
yeah.
as appealing as possible. But like, no, I think you're right that the drone operator thing is really the height of it. The drone operator thing is the perfect intersection of those two
Got,
climbing lines of
got
like,
two girls holding hands with CIA jackets. Like what the fuck?
oh, well, they're just taking just taking
Wait,
eternal
2 girls, 1
endless.
cup?
in the CIA, yeah.
No, that's the one though. That's the one. It's just taking the concept of eternal state sanctioned remote controlled murder in a country halfway around the world. Just taking that concept, just killing all day, killing every day, just taking that concept and just kind of sweeping it over to the side of a line where everything says pro LGBT. Just kind of sweeping the concept of drone murder over there to where everybody's like,
the
this
drones
is it,
are
you
okay
guys, this
as
is our
long as they're
time.
being operated by a trans person.
Right, this is our time to really run the
Oppression.
country.
Oppression. It's not just for straight white men anymore.
This is our time. We've complained about this gerontocracy, and this is our time to take the reins and push the kill button 40 times a day for no fuck reasons, right? Like, it just, that has to be a normal thing that the country does. All the other stuff's negotiable.
It's our turn to plunge the world into World War III.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So sad that they had to.
World War, I mean, I guess we could have another couple more, If you have one, why not have another?
It's so sad to say that to see that they had to send the old man out there to tell all the other old people that they had to leave the one big war that they all loved so much. That they were all too old to keep doing all the right shit, to keep that war running right. Like Joe himself had been trying to set up like some kind of awesome Middle East scam bullshit for like his fuck up kid that actually is the cool kid, I think. But everybody else would say is the fuck up kid. He's trying to set up his fuck up kid some kind of shit over there, and he couldn't even get the shit off. Kid fucked it up, and it didn't even sound like it was going to make that much money. Like they're too old to be doing all their shit, to be doing sleazy oil deals in other countries, to be doing fucking the big war. Nah, Joe had to walk out there and tell all these other old motherfuckers that the big war was over. Man, that was sad to see. It was the greatest fucking shit that I've lived through. But I don't know. I was really happy during the 2020 primaries for a second, but then I wasn't happy anymore. But as far as just like shit you can expect to happen, the announcement of the end of that war and how miserable it made a lot of old people that I know, just sad that the big war was over. That's one of the greatest moments of my life, honestly. Those few days of just listening to them be like, I can't believe it was all for nothing. Yeah. Just walk on. Just be like, yeah, Holmes, nothing. And just walk on with your day. Like, that was the greatest couple days, honestly, for me. I really enjoyed that shit.
Sure. I mean, there's plenty of failures.
Plenty to go around,
Guys,
baby.
they're just like stunned. They're just like,
I mean, these are
we
the
gained,
Confederates, right?
we gained nothing from it. We lost all these lives. Well, we killed a lot of them too. And then I'll say some shit like, yeah, we left, we left $1 trillion worth of fucking equipment over there too. Did you see that? Look,
Oh
like just
yeah.
gold pictures and shit. Just making them just fucking, cause I don't know. There's shit you can't fix.
Taliban had to send a call out to how the fuck do we use this advanced technology?
No, there's shit you can't fix. If somebody seems like they're open-minded and they're an American and they're open-minded, I'll try to pitch them on the idea of not having a fucking endless fucking war. I'll pitch them on it, and see how they feel about it if they seem reasonable. But a lot of these old fuckers,
Whoa, guy. That's radical. That sounds like communism.
how are you gonna pay the defense contractors? Oh well,
I,
probably wouldn't fuck with them so much either. What? Like
so you mean to say you're just not gonna provoke a war out of anybody? That's not
yeah.
sustainable.
You gotta have one going. That's what keeps the whole fucking thing going. Like I'm sure they openly,
You know what
know
the
that.
real respectable move is? Nuke that country.
Yeah, that's right. And that's why we're lucky. That's why we're lucky. If anybody can say that there's any kind of like good luck that we had, is that all of these old men since the fucking 40s have been too chicken shit to just try and see if the nukes work. Because any of these fuckers could have done that shit. Any of these horrible old fuckers could have popped one of those off at any point, anywhere in the world for any conceivable reason. And then later just been like, reasons. Because that's how they've done everything else. But but that hasn't happened. And that's really nice, I think. That shit sits unexploded in a silo. Or perhaps has even been sold.
Is it really nice? We were this close to living out our Fallout 4 fantasies. I could have had a Pip-Boy on my wrist. I could have been in a vault underground.
No.
I could have been mutated into a space
That's not
ghoul.
how that works.
I could have been mutated into a ghoul by now. I wouldn't have to continue to subsist in this terrible situation if it weren't for that.
But that's what I'm saying about them. That's their pressure release valve. Like for whatever reason.
I love how they turned everything into Mad Max.
Yeah. A lot of shit is very Mad Max lately.
Sometimes everybody just dies.
If you ever see a news story that's just like a basic description of shit that happens in Mad Max, if it's just some shit like, man travels 100 miles through desolate fucking, horrible there to get a can of gasoline or whatever. Man, horrible medical problem. Like all this horrible trials and tragedies and shit that sound like fucking wasteland shit. Their whole ass generation is like, well, that's a tough guy, That's heartwarming.
Yeah.
Them still being alive is the reason you see all the not heartwarming stories still. That shit is out. When they're out, that shit is out. Like,
yeah, nothing but crushing depression for us.
I don't know anybody.
Wait, are you
That's
referencing like inspiration porn, LG?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, look how heartwarming.
Yeah.
This child like sold painted rocks to pay for their parents' cancer treatment.
Like somebody our age or younger.
What an inspiration.
Somebody our age or younger, if they see that shit and they're part of, the thing, they might be like, oh, well, that is inspirational or that's good or whatever. But like, they're not going to look for that shit. They don't have like a fucking bookmarks page that's like inspirational. Like, you know what I mean? Like that shit is for oldies. And when they're gone, that shit will finally disappear. Because nobody else buys that shit. Everybody else doesn't have whatever material benefits or whatever anyway that the story is about. And they're all fucking mad when they read that shit. I know I am.
I'd love to pretend that like QVC is gonna go away too, but I've seen how many of our generation.
QVC is eternal.
Yeah, I've seen how many of our fucking generation bought into
Is it-
NFTs. They're gonna
is it
be
on
buying
digital-
fucking QVC bullshit too in 10 years.
Is it on digital, like, over the air now? Like, anywhere you turn on a television, that's one of the 5 channels that you still get is QVC, I bet.
I have no idea. I haven't paid for cable in so long. It is comical.
Not me either.
And
I'm sure that's
somehow
why I
still
don't.
know that it's still on.
Well, it
I mean,
definitely is, because I've
if you
seen
don't
it.
need
But
football, you
it
must not-
definitely is on because I've seen it, but I can't think in what context. It might just stream on the internet all the time. That might be it.
I assume I've
That
seen
it just
South Park skits instead of it.
runs in eternity. I bet they got work, man. I bet, like, if you lived in whatever town that studio is in, I bet they got mad work. Like, if you put on like
yeah,
a
for sure.
like 90s blazer and like get like 1995 dude hair, like a big pompadour, but like a friend's pompadour or whatever.
Friends
like-
pompadour.
Yeah, like in 1990, and you go in there and you're like, "Hey, what are you guys selling in here? Oh, this is nice," or whatever. I bet they'd turn the camera on without even asking you. I bet that's how desperate they are to have a motherfucker stand there and tell a 97-year-old lady that's watching.
They just smell that dude bro energy and automatically lock onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The cameras are
Like,
automated.
put this motherfucker on camera. We don't have enough people standing here on any given day to sell as much of this shit as we could to people that are stuck in a nursing home right now. We could sell the hell out of this shit. Anybody that comes in there, I bet.
Man, you're making me tempted to go find the QVC fucking. I
I'm
could go
saying-
be on camera.
Yeah, they still have what's the sweepstakes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that. They still have that. That's eternal. Snake oil is forever.
Snake
Yeah.
oil is forever. Let's Google
Like
it
it-
real quick.
I guess that was something I used to
QVC.
think too, before 2016 and everything, is I used to kind of think like, okay, like, things are safe now and you can't just trick people into like drinking bleach or whatever. Like, I didn't really think that type of shit more
Isn't
before
Bleachy-
like
whoa,
2016 or anything.
whoa. Bleachy's a show friend. You got to be careful
Well,
with that.
Well, he's mad. Like, he's mad every time I talk to him because
Holy shit.
up until 2016,
QVC is
he
dangerously close to me. Like, I could very easily work at QVC. This is not good. This is I shouldn't know this information.
Maybe you could be our little QVC spy.
that would be so fucking funny, man. Like, you're
tempted.
just like, okay, what if they're so desperate to have somebody fill that time that like you could get a little weird with it, and if you were selling stuff, they wouldn't be like, okay, you have to stop doing that or whatever. They just like wouldn't say anything to you, and they'd always be uncomfortable around you. Like, the guy that's like the programming director or whatever. Like, you'd pass him in the hallway, he'd always be like, ugh, kind of look down a little bit, but like he wouldn't say shit to you, like, ever. Like, he would never say, you can't keep doing a bit about a guy that has Tourette's syndrome when you're selling products on QVC. Like,
Let's
you can't
see if they
do
have
that.
anything.
You gotta wait until after the contract's over.
Yes. And then you're like, well, my friend does have Tourette's syndrome. And then they're like, well, okay, I know, but you can't do that.
I'm sorry, sir, but Mr. CEO guy, but you don't understand. Old Bleachy here, you hurt his feelings. you have to apologize to Bleachy for me. He's very sensitive. He's got a lot of mental.
Would they call it a
distress.
retail team member? Is that what they would call you?
Team member.
Yeah, we gotta keep our mascot happy.
Because you pretty much are doing like sort of just an endless customer service loop. like, right? That's the script, right? Is what would you say if you were stuck in a physical location doing physical retail? Like, what would you say? Like, that's what they're doing, but they're doing it, you're simulating the second half of the conversation by making everything an easily answered rhetorical question or whatever, right? Like, you're doing both halves of the conversation. Like I'm not saying that the people that are good at it aren't damn good at something. I mean, it's some weird combination of like acting and fucking vaudeville, all these other things. But it's just really interesting to think how nuanced that specific person is.
Do we think
The
it's an
television salesperson.
influencer marketing specialist, or do you think that's the most
Speak up, Johnny.
on camera? Influencing marketer specialists. Got the job.
That sounds like a job where you do nothing. Hell yeah.
Well, a lot of stuff about pitchmen has always been interesting. Like, people always enjoy those characters. I don't know. I do think though that we might, if we're lucky, we might live long enough to see some of the accoutrements of their seemingly permanent existence actually just disappear. And I think that'll be a little bit of a cold comfort, in our own waning years. That if we can make it a little ways down the line, it'll be like 20 or 30 years since somebody predicted that a computer virus was going to end the world or whatever.
No, but the problem is that the stuff that's going to go first is the stuff that we actually get to enjoy too. And that seems a little unfair.
Yeah, it's absolutely unfair. Right now, while they're still alive to be interviewed about it and shit, we need to go ahead and set up some kind of project that preserves the better portions of their culture. For people
we need to interview people about what retirement is like.
What was that like? Because
they wouldn't know that.
Someday in the future, we want to convince people that it's worth fighting to have a retirement. So describe it. Describe how it is.
Do you mean to tell me that you aren't driven out of bed by the panic that comes from thinking that, like, you might lose everything over like $100?
How do you guys find the will to work whenever you're not immediately panicked over your impending doom? Why doesn't society just fall apart?
Right, it's a moral hazard, right? What a moral hazard.
Wait, you mean to tell me that your life still has meaning even though you're no longer generating profit for someone else?
No. That sounds pretty suspect. It sounds like one of those moral hazards.
Next thing you know, you're going to tell me that the rich people aren't the greatest thing to ever exist in the history of anything, ever.
No, I mean, that's also...
I don't like it.
That's also what it is, right? I mean, there's this bleak thing where even, your most insane left-wing crank, like, after he gets done fucking, roasting their ass, you'll still you can feel that radiance of like, well, they are good at something. Like, for me, I'm always like, well, I'm not just a hater. I do think these structures are incredible. And for some people, they'll just say, well, they are excellent at being pieces of shit, or they are incredibly well developed, little balls of all the worst human instincts. They are incredibly interesting little Pavlov machines of like all the bad shit that could happen to somebody in their life just creates this thing that just only destroys. Like
marveling at how adaptive the coronavirus is.
Right. How somebody was posting about the old Disney movie The Black Hole today, and it always makes me think about how I saw it when I was a kid. As someone was like 4 years old, and it's just this movie where the spaceship gets sucked into the black hole, and at the end nobody's left alive but this one killer murder robot. And it's not even like an Asimov story type robot. It's just like a regular ass robot who's like, he's like a fucking Commodore 64 with legs and blender arms. He's like a fucking electric typewriter with like a jetpack and like blender hands, but like that's the only dude that survives. And so the last shot of the movie is this fucking evil robot that's killed everybody, watched their ship get sucked into the fucking black hole. And he's just kind of hanging out, at the fucking singularity between the fucking folds of reality and motherfucking
He's living
space.
his best life.
Yeah, just looking at the fucking compression point of all light and matter or whatever, And I saw this thing when I was fucking 4 years old, and I because it's a Disney movie, so it's on, And then I asked my parents, I was like, why did that movie end like that? And I remember my pop was like, well, it's just a horror movie, or it's like a tense movie. It's like, are they gonna go in the black hole? And they do. And I guess the point is, don't go in the black hole. And I always remember saying that the point of the movie was just don't go in the black hole, because who would want to go in the black hole? Who did someone want to go in the black hole? And I asked that, and what I recall is my father saying, well, you'd be surprised.
You would be
And
surprised. He was so right.
Those would be your accelerationists, right?
I mean, like, or just guys that are making money from doing any of this bad stuff and just believe that they should keep doing it, that is the right choice in and of itself. Like, they know that it's wrecking everything else, but they think they'll be gone too quick to suffer the consequences. Or if their descendants suffer the consequences, those don't matter, or they have no descendants. Just a whole swath of guys like that. I just described a guy who is excellent at capitalism, right? Like, I just marked off, when I was saying the conditions that lead to that dude, I just marked off like every way he could be human or, fallible because he's connected to another person. I mean, that's who's the best at it, right? So a lot of those guys, they do want to go in the fucking black hole. Let's steer the boat in the fucking black hole because, fuck, man. Number one, they think they're the robot. They think they're going to be fine. It's only going to get everybody else. It's going to show how resourceful I am when whatever terrible thing that I'm cheering will happen.
Well, I typically hear for the lulz.
Yes. That's the young conservative.
Gonna destroy everything for the lulz.
For the lulz, which is just the most, deeply nihilistic,
Oh, well, what do you find funny? The most racist thing you've ever seen.
Right. Because it just is the deepest point of nihilism where they can't even conceive. Like, somehow they all get confused into thinking that, like, race issues in this country or, like, political issues for thousands of years on Earth, somehow they all get confused into thinking that these things are, like, right up there with, like, whatever the latest, like, pop culture controversy is.
Like, is the game to find, like, the single most hurtful thing you could say? Like, is that?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
And reinforcing bad stuff.
So you're saying, of course. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm actually asking because, not for nothing, that kind of thinking is not.
I think the goal is to show your masculinity,
like your dominance.
Your dominance by way of willingness to crush everybody, the most vulnerable.
Some of those kids, did turn into sweet little babies, though. Like the little frog ones that talk like the babies. They turn into sweet little babies. They're all friends, right?
Oh,
like
yeah, they're never tough.
Some of them did break off and go that way hard. But I think now you have an even more pure and concentrated, like, shit like you're talking about now among, your front-facing right-wing engine, right, is more macho and fucking just bullshit ass on this fucking this libertarian shit than they ever have been. Like, you can barely tell a fucking parody. I still think the guy Nick Adams is a parody. And people keep telling me, no, that guy is, like, somehow semi-serious, like the Australian alpha male guy, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think so. I don't see how that's possible. I don't see how it's possible that guy is not.
Do any of you guys follow Don Hughes?
No,
Hell yeah, Don from up there in Canada.
I had the hardest time with him for so long because I couldn't quite, like, I mean, obviously it was like absurdist, but I was like, I don't know if he's laughing at us or laughing with us. Like, kind of. I
Sometimes
don't know how
people
to
say,
explain it exactly, but I just like. I think what it was is like he was cutting too close to the bone, and I didn't like it.
yeah, Don.
But then
sometimes
later on, I
will
found
say-
it hilarious.
Don sometimes will say, a Canadian making fun of an American type shit that is like on the level of like Paul Mooney making fun of white people type shit. He'll be like on that level.
Right. And I
Canada
think I
v.
took it
America.
personal at first, but
Well, you don't see
then
it
I had
coming.
to get over it.
You don't see it coming. It takes you. You're so shocked. It takes you a second to remember how right that motherfucker is. What a horrible fucking thing, right? That delivered dryly and casually. Have you heard that motherfucker? Like he sounds exactly like he reads. It is so funny, dude. I can't think what the show used to be called. The ad is at Get Fiscal on Twitter. This guy Don Hughes, but I can't think what his fucking show used to be called. Or he may still have a show. But I haven't heard his voice in a long time, but I used to hear it a lot, and it makes it even funnier. He's got great vocal quality and delivery.
I wasn't aware that he did audio. Good to know.
Like the only
Okay.
thing I really
I'm gonna be
remember
real
this
with you, bro. I'm gonna pass on that.
I'm sitting out here on the porch and almost feels like fucking like it's actually not endless death summer anymore. Is that true, or is this just a hurricane is coming now?
Endless Death Winter is coming.
Okay, so it's gonna be 6 hours of tolerably cool temperature for the first time in 7 months. Then it's gonna be a hurricane, and then it's gonna be death winter. Gotcha. Let me just
Well, I mean, if we
Oh,
have
wait,
snow,
hold on. Because my old farmer's almanac says we're going to have like 2-3 days of nice weather, like just enough to lull us into a sense of complacency. Then we're going to have a crazy cold snap. And then
naturally.
right after that, it's going to get unbearably hot again for 2 weeks
Yes.
before starting like the pissy freezing rain season.
Oh yes.
But that's up here in the mid-Atlantic. I don't know about you.
No, it's gonna be the same. It's gonna just get barely far enough down here for us to get lots of ice coat on the branches and get to watch every Bradford pear and all these other species of decorative trees. Get to watch every decorative landscaping tree for hundreds of miles in every direction simultaneously burst like dudes in Fist of the fucking North Star.
And drag down every electric line with them because nobody has underground power for some unknowable reason.
Just explode. These fucking trees explode like the fucking first couple characters in a Cronenberg movie. Just because it got cold. Just like you're driving by it and it's a plant or whatever, but you're driving by it and you're like, ugh. Because in your mind, you can't help but picture just a large organism just suddenly just being torn apart because it got cold. That shit, man. I think it's illegal to even plant a Bradford pear in this county at this point, which is progress, but
somehow positive.
Yeah, you shouldn't be able to like plant a bunch of decorative shit down here that's from like fucking I don't know where those fuckers are from. But people plant all types of shit from Hawaii down here, which flies exactly 11 and a half months out of the year. But nah, it's never coming back. Like, right? Like people say that they don't know how to think about what the short-term effects of climate change would be in their lives. But what it is you're gonna suddenly realize one day that for the past 4 or 5 years, you ain't been able to get something that you like to bloom or look good. Oh, we got this one little plant over here in the corner of the yard. Or, oh,
But that's why I kind of am relying on my knowledge of stuff that does good other places
hell yeah,
that are
yeah.
like this now. I mean,
Yeah.
not for nothing. Tomatoes, like we always had good tomatoes in this region. They're gonna go ape shit. Oh, the eggplant, like the peppers, shut the fuck up. Like if we were still doing agriculture in this area like we used to do, I mean, we still do a lot, but unfortunately, a lot of it is like field corn.
Just for the mill, yes.
You guys ever seen
Right.
backyard corn?
I'm sorry?
You guys ever seen backyard corn?
Like grown in somebody's backyard, you mean?
Yeah, like a backyard patio.
I
Oh,
tried to.
100%. But what I'm talking about is like this, you know, we live in a spot that used to generate like a significant amount of produce. Now it's all corn and soy.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Just slurry. You know what used to be really hype from up there, and I'm sure there still is they do a lot of things that require like a good frost. Like they do them down here now. Like they do these big strawberry patches and farms and shit. But when I was a child in the delicate and ancient days of the 1980s, like a lot of the dopest like strawberries and stuff like that that needed a frost to act right would come down further. They'll always say like North Carolina or Virginia or further north or West Virginia or fucking New York or New Jersey a lot of times. Like, and that would be the dope. That would be the dopest shit. Like, but now it's they got a
Hey,
strawberry patch.
Hamilton is the blueberry capital of the world. I'll have
Like
you know.
anything
When
that
it
relies
comes
on
to
a
that shit.
But now when I go to the grocery store down here, it's all these giant fucking local strawberries that are like these big genetic mutant water bags. They just aren't. They're good in some applications.
Do they
look
have any
impressive.
flavor?
Well, not really.
And
but
do
they
you
look,
have roadside stands?
yeah, like we got like just as many
That's
as we
when
ever
you
had.
get the good shit.
Nice. Right. Like you can still get, better shit that's smaller batch from, somebody's yard or whatever. And, the farmers markets, round people up and stuff. Like we've always had those options, and I'm super lucky to live in a region that consistently has good options like that. If you go on vacation in South Carolina, there's a lot of great places near vacation towns at the coast. Like no matter how ritzy of the tourism towns that you're in, you only got to drive like 2 or 3 miles to get to somebody's like local produce. Like, you do not have to use that grocery store that's right there in the little vacation town. This is nice. I suppose I'm spoiled that way, but I do hearken for a day when a lot of stuff did come from further up the coast. But it's like you say now, whatever we can process the most of, whatever base material that we need to stamp, 100 billion little triangle Doritos out of, right?
That's exactly right. That's why Sons of Trier is diversifying into corn and soy, baby. We are officially categorized now as a farm. We're taking farm subsidies.
We're gonna create a genetically modified corn stalk that produces just like a corn cob. It has like big ass soybeans just popping off of it.
It's a corn
Wait,
cob with
if it's a
soybeans.
corn, oh my God, you guys! When we perfect the corn soy plant, we can call it succotash.
Holy shit! That's
We
crazy.
are gonna make a killing.
That sounds a lot better than. I was just gonna call it
Mindful Wellness claims that
Corn.
No, yours is better. Corn doesn't sound appetizing at all.
Somebody eat some sword.
I don't see sword selling well. Oh shit. Okay. All right. Okay, Jake. Have you been seeing like random ads on like YouTube like videos and stuff lately? Like,
of course.
Have you been watching like YouTube content where you'll have to watch an ad?
Yes.
Tons. Have you seen them pushing Cognizant wide mainstream now?
You know what? You bring it up, but I have noticed a weird increase. I don't know if I've been looking for Cognizant specifically. I'm probably going to now, but
okay, Cognizant is the shit.
Drinks in particular have been super high.
Okay, for the listener, Cognizant is this shit that they put in energy drinks that about a year ago on this show, I drank a bunch of energy drinks that had this shit Cognizant in it. Let's just see what would happen. And for some reason, me and this gentleman right here, Jake Engels, both just laughed so hard eventually about the word Cognizant that we almost had to go to the hospital.
It's so fucking fake. It's the most corporate. It's like if you gave an AI 10,000 hours of corporate lingo and then you asked it to give you a fucking energy drink.
Wait, but did it do anything?
Oh no, it's
God,
just
no.
it's more it's more
It was no,
glob.
it was pimped super hard.
Yeah.
I mean, it did the same thing that it all does to you, which is just randomly spike you off in some kind of direction like bad methamphetamines. Like it was undoubtedly some type of
It's a bunch of sugar
guarana
and
paste
also
or
sometimes some beta alanine. You know what I mean? To
yes,
make your face
Well,
feel
no,
beta
and
better.
a
alanine.
lot of these things, like they rely on caffeine. Like,
Yeah.
Oh
Exactly.
yeah.
there was a young lady that I saw last Friday, and we were talking about stuff, and it turns out that he has been taking a pre-workout supplement. Now she thought nutritional supplement meant meal replacement. Okay, so there's the first problem. Second
Yes,
thing is that this supplement tells you to take it on an empty stomach.
Oh Jesus.
It had 294 milligrams of caffeine
Okay, look.
per
I
dose.
may or may
You're
not.
not even supposed to take food on an empty stomach.
So like how long
Along
did-
with a bunch of like other, like I think it was doing like the whole niacin flush thing. Like,
so like how long did she ride that train before something bad happened?
oh no, she had been doing it for like at least a couple weeks, like first thing in the morning. But here's the thing, she is prescribed a medication.
Oh no.
Oh,
That
okay.
is in
Oh no.
so. Well, she's prescribed several medications. Well, not several, two.
But there were
But
reasons that she wouldn't notice an effect like from something like that
well,
being.
no. But here's the thing: she was, and so she was taking the one medicine later in the day because she's like, oh, because I know I have to take that on an empty stomach because we had talked, or on a. I know I have to take that with food because we had talked about that.
Yeah.
And so I
You
was
already had
basically like, listen, maybe you should not be taking these things together. Like,
Yeah, look. So
if
my preamble to this is I've been working out for quite a while now. I do drink a pre-workout in the mornings because I used to drink a whole pot of coffee.
Yeah,
Instead,
right. I
just
tell
drink
people a
one
lot of the
cup
time, I used to
pre-workout.
measure my coffee consumption in pots, not cups.
Yeah. So that's been helpful for me
I
personally.
used to measure
but,
my
like,
pot consumption in coffees.
Yes, that too. I also just I had a discussion with my doctor and I said, yes, I'm drinking this thing. It has quite a bit of caffeine.
That's death.
They're like, yeah, we'd really like you to not do that. I said, okay, well, I'm not gonna not drink caffeine. So
yeah, because it works. It just works in an unbelievable capacity.
But when someone comes to you and they're like, yeah, so this weird thing has been happening, I'm literally vibrating off my seat.
Yeah, maybe don't do that thing.
Is that a problem?
Yes, Jesus. Oh God.
So, yeah.
I like
Well,
the pre-workout that gives my face the tangles.
The tangles. This is nice. Got that niacin in there.
The niacin, you're right. That and the beta alanine, those two things will really get you going.
She described it as, I'm so pumped.
But no, I do think that probably the way that I feel about this stuff is the same way that I feel about like ultra powerful like narcotics and painkillers and shit. Is that it's noteworthy that this shit has been discovered and exists. But this shit really should be human beings should have more of a break in case of emergency type relationship with this type of shit. Right? Like it would be kind of dope if we really only used this shit when it was appropriate. But the background
Excuse me, my college self would beg to differ. Because at the time, ephedrine was available on the counter of the mini mart.
Yeah, goddamn.
And you know what? Like one of its recognized uses is for people that are maybe having a little problem breathing. And if If the problem that you have breathing is because you've been awake for 40 hours and you got to
That's
grind out
on
like
you.
one more paper and take a test, like,
Yeah.
you know what? It is very helpful to have that particular medication available to you.
Exactly. And this is my exact feeling about this stuff. Is that anything that we've discovered that allows you to do superhuman feats and bullshit, we definitely should have it and should know what it does and should, be able to use it and stuff. But I'm so disappointed with a world that just demands that you use it all the time just to make some motherfucker a little bit of extra money. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
that's
That's
the
fair.
shit that sucks.
That's fair. I shouldn't have to take pre-workout in the morning to get through my daily job. I should do so
Oh,
because
but
I
you
like
know how
the
much
face
better it's gonna
tangles.
go if you do.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
should do it because I like the face tangles. That should be
Yo, I
sufficient reason.
fantasized about just not drinking caffeine at all one day and just going in there and just like just being like, yeah, this is it. This is what it really is. And just doing everything really slow. Like I think about how
You
funny
sound like my friend who, when he hit his 40s, one day he turned to me and he's like, every once in a while, I think it would be like cool to get a bag of Coke and just like stay up all night and play Call of Duty.
That's true, because once you passed 40, it would take a fucking bag of Coke.
Listen, my
But that was
internal
all he wanted to
policy
do.
has
He didn't
been-
want to go like party in Ibiza.
Right.
Like he was like, oh yeah, let me get jacked up and play Call of Duty. Like
I've
that
always
would
said
be.
there should be an age limit where drugs become more and more unlocked to you as you become older. It's like at like 85, 90, you should be just allowed to do heroin. Like what the fuck? Who cares?
Right. That would
Well,
also
that was
really
why I got mad at my aunt.
that would also really help solve that problem we were talking about at the top of the episode. People live so
No, but my aunt, like, I didn't know what she did at the time, but apparently, like, she had been like a methadone nurse, and she was bitter as fuck. But anyway, so my grandfather had Alzheimer's, and like one time it was like, oh, we're having tea pop, and he's like, oh, brownies, and he ate one, and he wandered off for a little bit, and he came back, and he's like, oh, damn, brownies. And he went to take another one, and my aunt was like, oh, pop your blood sugar. And it's like, motherfucker, this bitch is 97 years old. He has macular degeneration, so he can't see shit. He's been deaf as a post since I was a kid. And now he can't remember shit, and you're gonna deny him a brownie?
Yeah,
Like,
I'm
what the
hip on
fuck?
let the
You're
man have a
97.
brownie.
Eat all the fucking brownies you want.
right.
But
Like
he didn't earn that brownie.
what kind of performance increase are we talking about here? Is if he doesn't have brownies, he's gonna be like, leaping like Superman and
How much have you made the shareholders this year, Mr. Old Man?
Hey, back in the 50s, that dude, I believe he worked for like Dow Chemical or some shit.
There you go.
I'm sure he made his money's worth for that.
Yeah. Yeah. The good old days where, you could just make even more shit, even more faster for even more reasons and not worry about a goddamn thing. Just have
Just bathe in toxic chemicals because, like, eventually that'll help their bottom line.
Yeah. Fucking box that shit up and wait till the 90s and sell it as, gack and slime and shit. I just saw some of that shit at the store the other day. Just a straight up just tube of industrial waste.
I remember Gack and slime. I definitely paid money to get myself poisoning with that.
Oh yes, it's just buy straight up industrial waste. Just like, hey, when we make plastic things that are good, we also have this. Like it just helps out.
I just liked getting it in the bubblegum machines when I was a kid.
Yeah, the small amounts in the little acorn is probably the way to go.
Ingredients listed: cornstarch, cancer.
Well, you have to have.
Well, cancer comes second, so that means there's less of it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just not as much.
It's just diet cancer.
Yeah. Diet cancer. That's what If we're all going to be so pro,
may contain 0.2% less
that's what
of cancer.
it's going to be too expensive. It's going to be too expensive to have regular cancer. So when you go to the doctor for your regular cancer, he's going to be like, "We're going to have to put you on diet cancer."
Whoa! We're gonna have to get you some bootleg cancer, bro.
It's some diet cancer. This is way too expensive.
You're
You can
looking at
sit
the
in
middle
diet
of the line. You need to be on the bottom line.
Shit is so bad. I don't know. You guys, I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure that even though I cry about it when it comes around to be, some kind of politics time or some kind of vibration of politics time, like a year out from, 24 or whatever. Like I know I cry about how terrible it is,
It
but
is coming. You
it
just
is a
reminded me. Damn it.
Why are you even fucking acknowledging that that's going to happen? Like, why do
Because
you have to bring that into our happy space?
Yeah.
because I can't stop having meltdowns about it, and I'm sure that I've had them in the Discord and the chat and everything lately.
I've been trying to be positive here and think of the sun exploding instead of politics.
Well, I think I'm gonna. I don't know.
That's a blissful thought.
I think I'm gonna do more. I think I'm gonna do more outreach on the Twitter space. I don't know. I think it's time to get some more weirdos in there for me to get furious
bring
at.
back Bleachy, baby.
Well, the old Bleachy is still mad. Off
Don't
account
call
of,
it a comeback, because he hasn't been gone. He's been here for years.
He's still mad off of that shit that we were talking about earlier, because he just, the whole thing where like, he had been telling people, just buy a shit ton of bleach and do whatever. Like he had been telling people that for years. That was his thing, And then after 2016, it just, he found out about the MMS guy who he tried to sue, but for some reason, they didn't want to honor old Bleachy's original copyright, even though he was totally the first, figure in American history to suggest shooting up bleach to cure the common cold.
Right,
Like,
obviously.
And
like,
everything else.
but so he unsuccessfully sued that guy. He didn't even know about that guy until after 2016 and everything. And then, Bleachy tried to keep pace with, all the fucking right-wing dudes that were just like, nah, just drink bleach. But he couldn't, he was so mad.
Writing a
He still
whole
is
backstory
mad.
for this bottle of bleach with googly eyes on it. Is
He's
that
been
what you're doing
spiraling.
right
No,
now?
he
You're just
I'm genuinely
monologuing a whole story like a Rudy style comeback for for a bottle of bleach with googly eyes, bro.
he needs to come back bad because he's still upset also about that we had all that bleach, made for the big
We'll
big
do it like
promotion.
an '80s movie. We'll give a montage. They'll do a little bleachy, and he'll be absolved of all sins.
I think that'll probably work. Like, like a Tinkerbell clapping type situation.
Look, I'm already.
No, but you
already,
also
I'm
have
clapping
to
already.
intersperse it with video of the warehouses where all of the syringes of bleach are just sitting there unused and unwanted.
We got the syringes of bleach. We got the fucking buckets and buckets of the promotion that the ones we made for the promotion that he was going to do, the free bleach for pedophiles. But the label has the pedophile just guzzling it out of the bucket on the front, and they said you can't sell that. So we got stuck, just they said the name was fine, which I
the
thought
fucking
was
FDA rules again.
right, and they said the name was fine, which I thought was a little strange, but I really I was expecting the name to be the problem, but apparently it wasn't. Apparently it was the label that's just showing a ravenous and foul pedophile instead feasting on
What
food.
if we make the head of the what was it? Something pedophile?
the ravenous pedophile.
Ravenous pedophile. What if we make the head of the ravenous pedophile the Mr. Yuck symbol?
Okay.
You guys are trying not to get canceled today.
All right, I still got.
It's gonna be too much.
Well, because what I was gonna say is the easiest. The
good.
most cost-effective thing to do would be to take all those original labels that we already got printed
Yeah,
and
the
put
misconduct.
like a red circle slash over the objectionable part. So then we're saying, no, that's
Right.
not directions for use. That is
Right.
our warning. We put our warning label strongly on the front of our product.
Right. We're saying do not take your pedophile ass and tip your head back and turn up a bucket of fucking bleach and dump it down your esophagus. We're not saying
Yeah, don't do an Uncle Jesse with this jug of chloride.
All right.
So you're saying my ammonia for Nazis plan isn't gonna work?
Well,
But it could. Apparently, the title
Well,
is going to be
just like
We're
you
at the
have to make sure that a court with a flag with yellow fringe on it is not the one to judge your right to sell that product. That's the key.
all right. That is that is a whole episode of the Sons of Tree. We're gonna leave on that very spicy note.
We made Jake
today.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, listen.
What have we done?
Listen.
However, shall we save ourselves?
The challenge was set. You guys have, as always, met and exceeded the challenge.
Oh, I just begun to make you uncomfortable, my dude.
Anyone want to make some nice closing remarks there?
Well, what I was trying to get at was you bring the Nazi pedophiles and you're dumping both, so.
There is no way that our stream stayed up that whole time. There is not a single chance in hell.
Like, it's not my fault that like every time you take your phone out of your pocket and you're like, I want to see some
Currently
internet.
active on Twitch. That's all I'm gonna say.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think it might be time to be hanging out more on Twitch and stuff like that. Because every time I take my phone out of my pocket and I'm like, hey phone, what's going on with the internet? My phone is like, here's a Nazi pedophile. Like, oh wow, there's a lot of those now. There's a lot of those now.
How did that guy get in here? Get out of here, you.
Get out of here. All right. Good night, America.
Why I oughta.
Don't
pesky little.
Don't
scamp.
die. Don't be a Nazi pedophile. Neither of those things are good. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.